When I heard that there was a teaser video coming out for the Midnight expansion reveal at Gamescom, I thought, ooh, that will make a perfect intro for this pre-announcement episode of Solo Q. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah. There's not a single word of dialogue in the entire 57-second trailer. I'm excited. I mean, yep. But boy, Blizzard wasn't really thinking about podcasters when they pushed this little teaser trailer video out. Well, whatever, Blizzard. All right, Solo Crew. What do you say we make our own audio magic, shall we? You have entered the Solo Queue, a monthly podcast about adventuring alone in the world of Warcraft. Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Gagne. Is anyone else having collector's bounty drop rate withdrawals? I did pretty well with the mounts, and frankly, I still just want more. Lucky for us, life on Azeroth moves on quickly with the recent launch of 11.2, a race to world first that is going on right now over at Mana Forge Omega. Snippets of Legion Remix are sneaking out, and of course, we are all on the edge of our collective seats, waiting for the announcement of the Midnight expansion in just a couple days. Thanks for joining me for episode 28 of Solo Q, a podcast devoted to playing World of Warcraft as a casual but devoted solo player. Obsessed might be a better word. I don't know. Devoted, obsessed. I'm going to think about that. I'm Dave, the casual but devoted, sometimes obsessed player. Welcome back to many of you. Welcome to the queue if this is your first time here. Appreciate you checking the show out. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us, the Solo Crew. Hey, later in the show, I am going to ask a favor of you related to ratings on Apple Podcasts. It comes with a little bit of story, so stick around for the Solo Q Mailbag segment after the main topic. But to start the episode, we are here in the Ghostlands. Awful close to some upcoming action, it sounds like. And I know, just perusing Twitter and Blue Sky, and both of those accounts, I'm just basically focused on Warcraft stuff, so most of the stuff I see is Warcraft. I try and keep the real world from sneaking in too much into my social media feeds. And it seems like Northrend is definitely on a lot of people's minds, a lot of social media people's minds, at least, after we got our trailer coming out, our little sneaky trailer with no dialogue whatsoever. A lot of people are worried about the leader of the Blood Elves. And I, just to kind of get ready for the show, I happened to hop on to a Blood Elf holy priest that I had who I had no idea, but she was questing with him when the last time I played her. And at first I had no idea what that meant. Like, I log in, she's in Tranquillum, and Northrend standing there. I'm like, that's not normal. What's going on there? And I realized, after orienting myself, that she was doing the Blood Elf Heritage Armor quest. But the last time I was playing this character was, I don't know, it was at least a year ago. I want to say 2 years ago, but I'm not sure the Heritage armor's been out that long. Maybe it has. I don't know. It's been a while. But serendipity seemed too much, frankly. So I just hopped in. Actually, so I just hopped in because she was in the Ghostlands so that I could listen to the Ghostlands music while I was preparing my notes for the episode. And that I don't know, that seemed too serendipitous to not just throw it into the episode and start there. Well, what's coming in this episode? That is a good question. On tap, we're going to talk about 11.2, all the stuff that has rolled out, the new delve, the new zones, the Koresh, the whispers, the everythings. There's a lot of new things that have dropped with this patch. And I'll talk about that and what I've thought about the various aspects that I have played. Some of my other shenanigans that I've gotten up to in the past couple of weeks. And the big focus will be Midnight. We'll talk about Midnight in that main topic segment a little bit later on. So let's dive right into it.
And what have you done lately?
Well, let's start off with a bit of a story. Here's how I sometimes play the game. This was back on August 9th, which means it was getting close to the 15th, and on the 15th of every month, I do an inventory. I go through each server, each character. I don't necessarily have to log into them if I know I haven't logged into them in the previous month, but I keep track of all the levels I have, I keep track of all the gold I have, and I also make sure all the mailboxes are empty. So I don't necessarily empty mailboxes, but I know that by the 15th of every month, I'll go through and empty mailboxes. And so it was August 9th, and I thought, okay, 15th is coming. I should probably start emptying some mailboxes. I was just kind of doing whatever, had no big plan. And I know I'd sent a ton, with all the farming recently, with the collector's bounty and everything, I had sent just tons of gear here, there, and everywhere. And so I needed to open up those mailboxes. First character on the list, and I probably have, 15 characters that I need to get to. First character on the list, I open up and I get the mail. And oh yeah, I remember sending her all sorts of leatherworking recipes from a ton of raids. I think Old War, for some reason, was dropping a ton. Not for some reason. I think that just was the one. It was dropping a ton of recipes, and I kept sending them out. And so I realized, I've got all of these recipes in my bags, and they're all from Northrend. And I realized that all the recipes require a skill of 75. And on this character, who's my main leather worker, not that I do a ton of profession stuff, but it's kind of a background goal to at least get leatherworking and blacksmithing up to a decent level, and tailoring, so that way I can make appearances and make gear, because I have not done that with any regularity in any expansion. So a passive goal of making all of those appearances. Well, if I can't make any of these until I get to 75, I guess I should skill up. So really, that's the logical thinking now, but really at the time, the thinking was, I need to clear my bags. And I've got 12 recipes sitting in my bags, and inventory's coming up the end of the month, and bag space and all that. I should just dig in and do this. But my skill level for Northrend leatherworking is 0. So I make a couple of items with the Borean leather that is already in my bags, and pretty quickly I'm out of leather. So off to the auction house I go to buy 120 low-priced leather. Basically, whatever the lowest price was, I bought that out, and I didn't go above that. Like, I don't know what it was, like 2 gold something, and the next level would be like 3 something. So I was like, I'm just gonna buy all the two. So that's 120 leather. Great. I make more useless stuff, more whatever recipes, just to get me up a few more levels, and now my skill level is up to 14. So now I need more recipes. And then I realized, oh, yeah, of course, the Kaz Algar leatherworking trainer doesn't have my recipes. So, all right, time to portal from Dornagal to Stormwind. Stormwind from the portal room into Northrend Dalaran, so I can hang out at Legendary Leathers for a little while. So I can make more useless items. And then talk to the trainer to learn recipes.
Need help?
When I hit level 15, and then again when I hit level 20. And now, okay, all right, I can make a few appearances that I didn't already have. And, oh, my 120 leather, all gone. I used it all up. All right, next idea. I'm going to head to the bank, which, of course, Dalaran, there's 2 conveniently located banks.
Hello.
Head to the bank to grab whatever I can from my warband. Okay.
Have a good one.
Good. Grabbed a whole bunch, made more leather goods, all the way up to level 25. And that's when everything changes. Now I need heavy Borean leather. Okay. It didn't take me long to figure out heavy Borean leather is just, hey, here's 6 leathers. Why don't you turn 6 of them into 1 heavy Borean leather? So we've got a 6-to-1 ratio going on for basically the rest of the recipes that I need to keep skilling up. Well, that's going to get, expensive if I'm hitting the auction house, and I am relatively miserly with my gold. I just don't drop tons of gold on stuff if I don't have to. So, I have a few characters. Somebody can do some skinning for me, right? That's a thing. So I'm out of leather at level 30. That's a long way from 75. So I decide it's time to do some farming. I can make my own leather. So I hop onto my skinning hunter she's a hunter, gnome hunter that I created through the Pandaria remix. And so I did a little research, like, okay, where's the best place to go find Borean leather? And Ruby Sanctum. The raid, I believe it's a raid. It's a dungeon? No, it's a raid. The Ruby Sanctum raid is a good place to go farm leather. If you head over to the giant dragon tower that I'm totally blanking on its name right now, Dragonspire? No, Dragon Blight. It's in Dragon Blight, but the House of Dragons, the big dragon thing. I should know this. I've been running so many Dragon Soul raids lately. This is gonna bug me. All right, I'm gonna pause. Hold on. Wait, don't go anywhere. Hold on. Editor Dave here. You were such an idiot. I'm not even gonna help you with the answer. I'm just literally gonna jump in here on the editing side and call you an idiot. That's it. I've got it. Worm Rest Temple. Yeah, I was not going to come up with that. My brain was never going to get there. So Worm Rest Temple. I meant Worm Rest Temple. We're going to Worm Rest Temple because we're doing Ruby Sanctum. There we go. Boy, that derailed my story. All right. If you run Ruby Sanctum on 25, on the 25 person level, not the 10, on the 25, and I guess normal, I don't actually know why you would run heroic versus normal. Heroic could be slightly, it doesn't matter, you're farming level 30 crap, but anyway, the advice I saw was run 25 normal and run through there because level 25, because there's more trash. And that's the key. You want to go in and kill all the trash and not touch the bosses. So Ruby Sanctum, many of you know it, I'm sure, but if you don't, it's a four boss raid. It's basically kind of in the shape of a diamond. There's from where you start, there's a boss on the left, there's a boss on the right. Once you kill those two bosses, you get to then go to the top of the diamond, opposite of where you started, kill the third boss. Killing the third boss will open up the final boss. Don't do any of that. Don't do any bosses, because as soon as you kill a boss, you get locked into that instance. And it's not hard to not kill level 30 bosses. I mean, you can run right up to them, tickle them, spit in their face, yell at them, call them names, and you don't aggro them. So it's great. So hop in, run around, kill all the trash, skin all the trash, because everybody in there is a dragonkin thing. So you skin everybody. You've got lots of Borean leather. On average, I noticed I was pulling between 60 and 80 leathers per run. And you skin all the corpses, don't touch the bosses, run back out, reset the instance, do it again. And it's really quick. I didn't time it, but it's only a few minutes. You run around this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, basically, I think 8 trash packs. 8 packs of mobs, I think, that you're going to grab. They're spread out, you just kind of run around and do it. It's all good. After I had pulled about 450 leathers, I kind of got bored, and then I killed the 4 bosses, and hey, there was a little transmog that I got that I hadn't had before. Earned a pair of boots that completed one of the gear sets at that level, so that's a nice little bonus there. Then I headed to the next place on the list of places to harvest Borean leather, and appropriately, Borean tundra, the Northrend zone, Borean tundra, to slaughter/harvest woolly rhinos for their very tough hide. Rhino after rhino after rhino. I think I got through most of the herd. This is kind of in the north of Warsong Hold, and there are just so many herds of 5 rhinos running around together, and you just multi-shot and skin. I did that, I think, until I got to about 600 leather, and most of that herd was just bones. Not even skin, because I had the skin. They were just bones. So, time to fly south to Valiant's Keep to find a mailbox, but not before taunting a few guards at Warsong Hold on my way by. Once I sent my mail away, hopped into inn where, of course, they have no alcohol. What is wrong with these inns? So, back to my leatherworking demon hunter. Switch characters. She started pumping away on converting Borean leather to heavy Borean leather, about 600. So now I have about 100 more leather to work with. That was a lot of work. Well, I make some more things, and then all of a sudden I realize I don't have any Nerubian chitin. So I can't make a bunch of the new recipes. There's only one new recipe to learn at 40, and that's a 32 slot inscription bag. Making more useless stuff. Other recipes are turning yellow, then they turn green, and I have barely hit 45. There's 6 new things I can make, but I don't have any Eternal Fire or Eternal Water or Jormonger scales. So basically, I'm running out of things to make, so back to the Warbank. I grab all the crystallized elements that you take 10 of and you turn into 1 eternal element. So now I can make 1 seafoam gauntlets and 1 virulent spalders. And once again, I am out of all the usable elements, and I'm now out of all Borean leather, heavy or otherwise. I'm at level 47. 28 skill points to go. I have now filled my bags with crap gear and bits of reagents, and I still need to go out and farm again, but by now, it's midnight. I have not run any delves. I have done nothing in Koresh. I have done no phase diving, no world quests, just mindless farming and a handful of Lich King crafted gear appearances to show for my time. And yet, hey, it felt like a good night. And I tell the story because there are a lot of ways to play Warcraft. There's a lot of ways, a lot of directions it can take you depending on what you need from the game. And on that night, it literally was the smallest of challenges that popped into my attention span. And, it was a night where I didn't want to do a lot of thinking, and I was, sitting in bed, ready to go to sleep soon. I had a little time, but yeah, that was kind of perfect. And I kind of realized that's one of the big things I like about this game, of course, is there are a lot of ways to play. Another briefer story, I promise, was just before I was recording a little earlier. I once again got distracted. I got on to do the new delve because I had not run the new delve yet, and I didn't want to talk to you about things until I'd at least done the new delve. But, of course, okay, I'm looking at the map. Okay, great. I know there's a delve over there. I thought there were 2. Am I crazy? Are there 2? I'm going to have to look that up. I didn't. Doesn't matter. In looking for the delve, I have to fly past some world quests, and some of the world quests are appearances I don't have. And I thought, well, okay, it'll raise my item level. I should just do that. And one thing, of course, leads to another, and I'm off stumbling into this. One needed phase diving, so I did that real quick, and then I flew over here. And as soon as I sat down, I look on the map. I'm right at the delve. I'm literally okay, I'm at the delve. As soon as I land, some, broker guy is like, hey, let's go find all the weapons. And I think, oh, that's odd. But I realize, okay, he's here for a world quest. He's not actually going to go in the delve with me. He needs stuff for a world quest. So I hit the map and then realize, oh, there's a rare up. Well, I have killed this one, but there's a lot of things on it that I haven't earned yet. So, okay, let's run over and we'll kill the rare. And of course, we're at the start of the patch. So big baddies, even with a bunch of people running around, whacking at it, they take a while. And as I was pushing buttons on my paladin, as I do, somewhat randomly, I have a general idea of what I should be doing, but, I just kind of, as I've said before, kind of like a monkey getting sent into space, whacking some buttons, turning some knobs, doing some stuff. I realized my attention span is really short. After probably 30 seconds, I was like, okay. Dodge the pools of voidy stuff and keep pushing buttons and run closer. And great. What percentage is the boss at? It was like 70 when I got there. It was like 60. After about a minute, I think it was around, it was under 50, but I was like, oh my gosh, I am so bored. This is not Warcraft to me. And it hit me kind of like lightning. Like, this is not my Warcraft. I don't care about this. I don't care about standing in a group of, I don't even know how many people had shown up at this point, probably 20 or 30 people, 20, 30 characters whacking away at this little, it's not the world boss, it's one of the rares that pops up not far from the delve, if that tells you. I don't know the name. It's just whatever. But there I am. I'm pushing my buttons. I'm trying to vaguely stick to my rotation and do things and do damage. And, I think, wow, if raiding is getting in there and doing this for many, many minutes, that is not my jam. And I guess paired with the first story of, I've got to get into Warcraft to do a thing, getting sidetracked and going and chasing leather recipes for like an hour and a half or whatever that was, and having a satisfying night compared to hopping in and doing that boss that I know in a couple weeks will die in like a minute as opposed to the 5 minutes that it took us. So I get that progression thing. It's just not fun. It's not hanging out in the Ghostlands with Lorthamar.
Ah, champion. We were just talking about you.
It's not seeing that old world and hearing the stories. It's a neat zone, and we'll talk about Koresh in a little bit. And I'm slightly on a tangent, and frankly, I didn't expect this to sort of come up this way. But those two paired together were like, oh, my Warcraft isn't necessarily everybody's Warcraft, and I know other people play that way too. I love the new content. I love the stories. I love the storylines. I don't care as much about some of the challenge of it. And you know, the boss, the local rare boss that spawns every whatever, it's not exactly challenging. It's not hard. You just keep doing the thing. I mean, the hard part is staying focused. And if that's what Warcraft is for some people, great. I don't have, famously attention span problems. So that's not my Warcraft. I would rather be running around chasing leather and whatever, or running down old storylines and revisiting. I went to Eversong Woods today, again, to get ready for the episode because I wanted some audio, and God, I can't believe I didn't go. I would have had to delete a character to do this, but I can't believe I didn't go start a new Blood Elf because I love being in that zone. And I love some of the locations and some of the questing. And I think, oh yeah, this is it, man. This is Falcon Wing Square. Here we are. I feel like it's one of the first places I remember in Warcraft. It's probably not the first place I was, but it's one of them. And every time I go back there, it's like, oh, I need to make a new Blood Elf. It's a good thing. I'm thinking of this now. It is a good thing. I didn't think, I could make one in Classic. I could have fired up Classic where I am not at character cap. I could go, you're lucky I don't stop right now. And yeah, but here's the thing. I got to get this episode out before Gamescom on Tuesday because I have things that I want Blizzard to hear. I have my wishes, so we need to get to that. So we got to keep pushing on. I got to somehow find some focus and attention span, and we can do this, right? If you're bored with me, don't email me and tell me. Don't just stop listening. Email and tell me, come on, dude. Take your meds and keep focusing. Yeah, how do you play this game? Like, that's a recurring theme in my head and in the podcast. How do you play? How do I play? It really is a big game. And there are a lot of ways to do it. And some of them are more interesting. And all of it just keeps me coming back to the idea that it is not easy for Blizzard to please everyone. You can't please everyone. We know that. There's a saying for that, so it must be true. But this game is so big and so wide and offers so many things that no one will ever be completely satisfied. But boy, I do think they're getting better at satisfying or attending to, giving attention to more and more aspects of the game. So again, this is a solo player focused podcast that arose because Blizzard was paying attention to solo players with delves and warbands and follower dungeons and not just lip service, but actual game systems. And I think that's important. And, things like that have me appreciating that I can do so many different things in the game and still not, queue up for a raid 3 times a week or, how some people tend to play the game. And that, not knocking on that at all. In fact, I kind of wish I could do that. I can't for many reasons, but more power to them. But I love that we've spread the wealth and spread out to other audiences. All right, you know that. I've said this before. Let's talk about quickly what else I've gotten into as I look through my play notes. I stumbled onto another thing. I guess this is the episode of stories, maybe. The very next day, I did another Borean Tundra leather run on another character. I was like, oh, I already tapped out that raid, so I'll hop onto my Worgen Druid, who is also a Skinner. So, yeah. And she basically did the same thing too. She ran around Ruby Sanctum until I got completely bored, killed the bosses, headed over, killed the rhinos, and another small pile of heavy Borean leather, which I sent over. I don't think I've actually done I don't think I've gone and done more recipes. Oh, because I need to farm all that other weird elemental stuff, and I haven't looked into where I need to do that. So a little bit stuck. And yes, the mailbox that I was trying to empty of its 12 whole recipes, not the mailbox, but the bags, the bag space of that character, still very full. So I defeated my purpose. I have not gotten very far. Yep. This is a game built for people who like tangents. I had this pipe dream. This was August 11th, that night. I had this pipe dream that I was going to get another class up to 80. My goal, another passive goal, like I should get each class up to 80. And I have 9. I think I have 9. I have 10 characters, but 9 because I have 2 druids now that are 80. Well, and I was hoping to do it before the leveling bonanza ran out on the 12th. And Monday night, I had a bunch of family obligations and time was busy. So I finally got into the game around 10 o'clock. I thought, all right, well, the thing runs out in 12 hours. I'm going to try and get Rogue. Rogue, not my favorite class to play. Every now and then I like it. Basically, I like farming with it. If I can run around and, fan of knives, it just throws knives everywhere. That's kind of fun. Otherwise, I don't love Rogue. But what comes to my aid? The one-button assist or assistant or whatever it's called. Hey, that's not so bad. So I'm putting that into use, and this is right as intended. It's a class that I don't know well. It's not easy to play. It's got a bunch of weird shit. So I'm gonna push the one button a bunch of times, and I moderately keep tabs on what it's doing. So maybe I'll learn some stuff. But so great. I hopped on to my Horde Rogue Nori. Nori is a Volpera rogue on the Earthen Ring server. And Nori was wandering around Hallowfall for side quests because I need to finish all those Sojourner quest things. And I wandered into the Light Spark Airship School. And I don't remember if I'd been there in some initial questing. Most of my initial questing, I was focusing on campaign quests, and there's a lot of side quests out there that I need to get to. So I don't know that I've been here. It is a cool building with an upstairs and an L area that you can go into. The road runs under the L, under the second floor. It's kind of a cool building design. There's some quests associated with helping out, and there are conversations to have, particularly about the 3 students vying to captain the next constructed airship. So you've got Edwin Windsmith, Sophietta Lindflame, and Janai Sacred Pike. Those are the 3 kind of elder students. You can also chat with Headmaster Finch, the founder of the school. Various other instructors and staff will give you their answer as to what makes an exceptional student. You can walk around and ask them. There's a little dialogue box for that. And they'll tell you what they think are the best traits for an exceptional student. And the issue at hand is this. Essentially, Edwin is a jerk, and he has stolen Sophietta's notebook because, well, he just knows he's the best pilot out there, even if she has snuck ahead of him in the rankings. Well, in the quest to confront him and his 2 buddies, you have to defeat them. That was when I realized that my speed-leveled outlaw rogue who rolled in at eye level 300 was severely undergeared. I died 3 times with my one-button rotation doing very little work to contribute. It wasn't even close. Like three dudes to kill, and I was not getting any of them in any of the times. I was like, oh, okay. I'm going to have to come back to this. So to gear up, I started targeting world quests, and that would grab the weekly cache of questing, do 6 quests, world quests or whatever. So grab that cache as well. And on the Earthen Ring server, it's a RP server. It's very low population. It has not merged with others. So, I often play in war mode because, there's not a lot of PvP going on. So I, in flying around the zone, heading to world quests or whatever. Oh, right. I was chasing a supply crate that comes down because why not? And in doing that, I got kind of pulled into, automatically into the Nightfall scenario. It was going on at the time. I was like, oh, I'll do that. And that's when it occurred to me that participating in the Nightfall scenario, where all the players who arrive, regardless of faction, all contribute to a common goal. Doing that in war mode is a logical incongruity. That makes no sense. I did all the parts, go champions, there's a thing, go kill the thing. It's, we need to slay it. Oh, free all the, the dudes that are wounded, all the different things. But I died 5 more times. So, my low eye level little rogue that I don't really know how to play died 3 times beating up high school bullies, died 5 more times, including 2 more times on the final boss. And I only died twice on the boss because of the increasing resurrection timer and the long flight from the graveyard. Every time I had to come back, it was forever. And, of course, the resurrection timer goes up every time you die. So, yeah. I was playing a Horde rogue. Alliance players were attacking me and killing me. I realized that no one was actually attacking me and killing me. It wasn't that the Alliance players were out to get me. It's just that I was in war mode, and here we are, different factions, all hitting a boss. And even though no one was targeting me, everyone was just dropping their AoE attacks, and I was so weak, I was getting one-shotted every time. Like, I was getting included in those AoEs. And I realized this because I was even the first person to one of the smaller little minor bosses, and I got there. No one was there. Got some damage in. I'm like, oh yeah, all right. I've taken like 20% off of this, relatively big baddie. I took a few hits. Like, okay, all right. I'm doing okay. I'm still standing. And then everybody else arrived. And as soon as they landed and started, I was dead. Just like instantly. So if the boss isn't it was just like, okay, everyone's dropping their AoEs and I'm just so friggin' weak. Got it. I am collateral damage to them. So it left me wondering if that 15% bonus for war mode is really worth the multiple corpse runs. I mean, that we're up to 8 deaths now at that point. Yeah, I don't know. It made for an interesting story. So completing world quests, jumping into 2 delves, lighting some key flames over at the thing. I was up 4 levels to 74, up closer to 400 eye level. And at that point, I went back to the school. I was like, all right, I'm going to show those bullies something. And those high school bullies never had a chance. 4th time was a charm with me, buddy. So the whole deal was the big bully stole the girl's notes or her report. And as you're like beating him up, because of course you don't kill them, they just give up because it's, school drama. you beat him up, and right before he gives up, he throws the report into the air. And you're above the whatever it is, and it scatters to the wind, and all the nearby creatures happen to pick up a page. So you've got to go out and go kill all the things, all the creatures who have grabbed one page of this poor girl's report. And in the end, the report is late, and the headmaster does not want to make any exceptions. And I'm thinking, what? What kind of school is this? Like, I just came and told you that the bully stole the girl's paper to cheat and then, like, tossed it into the wind. And you're like, the paper's late. I'm sorry. Like, that's not an exception. Now, remember, I'm a teacher. So all of this is, people are always getting attacked by high school bullies and having their pages tossed to random mobs nearby. And I mean, I hear this excuse all the time. So the paper is late because the a-hole student stole it from the good student, and the teacher doesn't feel like an exception. Fortunately, Mr. Wishy-Washy Headmaster, who says he is too close to the situation to be unbiased, and apparently doesn't distinguish between good and evil very well, he allows you to weigh in on this tricky situation. Like, you literally had, I think it was 3 choices to make, and I'm curious what the other choices were. I didn't choose the wrong answers for research purposes. I'll have to maybe go back and do that someday if I ever think of it. But I chose the real life answer. It was really easy. I would like to think that you don't need a master's in education to make the right call on this one. It was, yes, you should let the girl turn in her paper. It's not her fault. And a very relieved Headmaster Finch thanks you profusely with, 10 gold and some reputation and the airship captain's cloak. And that's, that's the end of their story. But not the end of my story. A little earlier in the quest chain, I was wandering out the side entrance of the building, along that L, that extension on the building. Out the side entrance, and I noticed an item glowing purple on the table. It's like, ooh, a thing. Ooh, a clue. Blue's Clues is way before me. I mean, way after me, sorry. So that's, yeah. I might be connecting with your generation, maybe. Who knows? I thought, all right, an interactable thing. I realize it's a book. It's interactable. That's excellent. I am... in another passive back-of-the-mind goal of mine is collecting books ahead of what I'm hoping, preview for what's coming later in the episode, but hoping we get a library space when we get to player housing and we can take all our books and put them in there. So I grab it. I wonder what it is. The name of the item is Lightspark Gradebook, and the flavor text reads, Headmaster Finch's Notes and Assessments of Student Traits, and it contains grades for the following areas of flying, engineering, diligence, leadership, and resilience. And honestly, I felt actually a little bit guilty as I stuffed it into my bags and ran out the door to continue questing. I mean, after all, I am a teacher. I have actually lost gradebook information before. It is not fun. It really sucks. At that moment, I was thinking, I'm not sure if I can really face Headmaster Finch again, eye to eye, teacher to teacher, knowing that I stole his grade book. I'm sure he doesn't have it up in the cloud saved with all his documents. And at that point in the questing, he seemed to be eternally giving the world's longest lecture on the advantages of the airship when battling the invading Nerubian forces, so I felt like I could get away with it. But now, knowing that he is even more indecisive than I am, and he's not even able to judge good versus evil and character and all that, I'm really not feeling too bad about stealing his grade book. Too bad, Headmaster Finch. I'm the headmaster now. It is stories like that. That is my Warcraft. Like, that is fun. I didn't know I was going to run into that story. I didn't, little side quests that, feel like sometimes just a pile of exclamation points on the map that I may or may not do. And then, crap, the expansion ended and I didn't get to all of them. And I got to go back and do Lore Master or whatever. Like, it's easy to put those things in that category. And it's easy to do that when the quests aren't super engaging or interesting and they feel just like go kill 8 bears and grab bear skins, whatever. If it's not super engaging, then yeah. But when it is, these fun little stories can be immersive. They can be great. And I think those are getting more and more common. I really enjoyed that fun little storyline. Here I am just trying to initially, hey, I need to get a rogue to 80. And, the deadline's coming. How do I do this? I'm just going to power through and do a lot of quests and do a bunch of things. And despite my best intentions to sort of put the blinders on and get into cruise mode, I didn't. Like, I wasn't doing campaign quests. I'm just going to do the side quests. That's how I'm going to level, because I've already done the campaign and I need to do these, like I said, for Lore Master. So I'm just going to do that. But even in that headspace of, I want to get to 80, I wasn't ready for a fun little, not really touching, but a fun little adventure, fun little story. That's the Warcraft that I like. That's the one that really gets me and keeps me coming back. And I think there's enough of that in the game that even in the lulls, even in the, if we're on our normal 2-year expansion cycle, which it seems like we're about to not be. But if we are, that last 6 months of a 2-year cycle can be a little dry. Well, there's always things to do. There's always money in the banana stand, as they say. Okay, I think that's all the stories. I know I had some of these notes jotted down. In my planning, I didn't realize it was just going to be kind of story hour here on Solo Queue. Last thing before we talk about 11.2, kind of the hangover of the collector's bounty event. I'm not kidding when I opened by saying, oh boy, I mean, it revitalized, it re-sparked my interest in farming old stuff. And I got a bunch of stuff. I think I gave the list in the last episode. I'm super glad to not have to go into Ice Crown Citadel again. Not gonna lie, like, Invincible's neat and cool, and it looks pretty cool, and I am using it for a character or two. But I'm just kind of glad to not have to farm that, because it is so long. It is so long. Now I have different farms, and now I have different things that I'm chasing. And so maybe that was part of the goodness of that event is, yep, I got some stuff I really liked and wanted, but also it moved me down the road of, I'm not going to say collect all the things, because there's now so many things, but move me down the road of, hey, there's a new set of stuff for me to chase. And the one thing I've realized is I kind of like running the Spine of Deathwing. I know a lot of people hate that. A lot of people won't run Dragon Soul because of running around on Deathwing. I kind of like it. I think it's really easy. I guess, like anything, you do it a couple times, you start to get used to it. I've done it now enough times. Before, it was not a regular run for me. It was, oh yeah, that's got a bunch of mounts. Oh, it's got that thing that's hard. I'll try it. Pull, die a couple times. Oh crap. Pull up the YouTube video or somebody, whatever. Oh, okay, I think I got it. You kind of do it, and then if you don't do it for 6 months or a year or 2 years, it's hard every time. Now I've done it a bunch of times. It's cake. It's fun. It's not the big deal. The whole raid is even with the immense amounts of RP. Holy cow. the talking that goes on, and you know what the biggest part of Dragon Soul that is funny to me, I'm not going to say it annoys me because it doesn't really annoy me, it just is, it's funny to me, is at the top of, here it is, I remember, Wormrest Temple. At the top of Wormrest Temple, when the Aspects and Thrall are hanging out, chit-chatting about the Dragon Soul and what they're going to do with it and how they're going to do this, when you say, hey, Thrall, I'm ready to do the thing, it is hilarious because the next thing that happens is Deathwing has to come over and has to, make fun of Alexstrasza and kind of poke at her a bit. And, okay, I understand the mechanic of champion, tell me when you're ready to start the encounter. Great, got it. Hey, NPC, I'm ready to start the encounter. And then you click the dialogue box and the encounter starts. Like, I understand that mechanic. This one is funny because you tell Thrall, hey, I'm ready. Let's do this. And then you wait. You're like, what's going on? No one's doing anything. And you run it, of course you run this enough times and you know what comes next. What comes next is Deathwing. And so do this. If you haven't noticed this, it's kind of funny. Go, click Thrall, and then just watch Deathwing. You're like, dude, we're going to start. And Deathwing is out there, and if he's not interacting with you, he's patrolling the skies, occasionally killing some stuff, killing some dragons, launching a fiery breath here and there. And so you click Thrall, and you watch him, and it's like, he's got stuff to finish. He's got a few more dragons to kill. He's going to breathe fire over here. And then you can see he's like, oh, all right, I should turn over there and say my dialogue. It is hilarious to watch. He just doesn't care. He doesn't care.
I had not realized you fools were still there.
He, like, you're ready? That's fine. I'm over here. I'm going to slowly make my way to the center of, that space and give you my dialogue. Also, this is just a thought. The story, I don't like to nitpick story and whatever. But when you're standing on that platform with the Aspects and the Dragon Soul and Thrall and me alone, because I'm not in a 40-man group or whatever. But anyway, why doesn't Deathwing just breathe fire all over us on the top of the Wormrest Temple?
I will turn your bones to ash!
Why does he give us a spiel, twist his mustache, and say, I'm going to bring out my strange creation child, Altraxian, who, by the way, has the weirdest voice. He's very strange.
Fall before Altraxian!
Why doesn't he just, kill us? I don't know. This thought. I've run that so many times now. I don't have any of the mounts from there. I don't have Altraxian, the Experiment 12B. I don't have the Lifebinders, Handmaiden, Reigns, and the only one I really want, I don't have the Blazing Drake. The Blazing Drake is the key to it all. As I said last episode, the Blazing Drake would be 7 of 9, and then the only other 2 Drakes I have to get would be reputation rewards. So this is the last random chance I need to get the Drake of all Drakes, or whatever that achievement is called, that gets me another Drake. So yay. I've thrown 2 characters out there. I think I'm going to run 2 Dragon Soul runs a week. Maybe at some point I'll bump it up to 3, but it's kind of fun. It doesn't take long. I have gotten to the point where I've gotten all the appearances, kind of like the Icecrown Citadel point, but I'm not completely bored. And it does take a little less time than Icecrown Citadel. I think I'm running Dragon Soul in 18 or 19 minutes. Maybe, I don't know. I'll try and check that at some point. But Yeah. So there you go. It has revitalized my interest in farming some old stuff, and I guess some different old stuff, which is kind of nice. Some stuff was taken off the list. So who knew? Who knew I would come to love running the spine of Deathwing. If you need me to do that for you, maybe I'll start renting myself out as a spine of Deathwing runner. Is that a thing? Is that a job I can get? All right, on to 11.2. The Ghosts of Koresh, of course, have launched patch 11.2, a new world, a new zone with multiple regions. This one's an interesting one. A new zone with multiple areas. Or is it a bunch of zones? It's kind of one zone, but it is super interesting. We have the Race to World First going on. We have the raid for normal humans and players. We have the new dungeon. We have the new delve. Baby delves, but I think it's just the one. I'm sorry I don't know that. Oh, you know what? I need to do this again. Hold on. Editor Dave back here to again call you an idiot, because really? You couldn't have done this before? You make the people wait? Come on. You're 28 episodes in. Be better. Aha! There is only one new delve. Screw you, editor me. I was right all along. There is one delve, the Archival Assault, and it is located in the opening of it, of course, is in Koresh, but it actually kind of portals you to the Azure Vault, a location, of course, that came in with Dragonflight. I enjoyed the Archival Assault. I thought it was pretty good, relatively straightforward, and I know there's multiple versions and different goals and things. I've only done one of the stories, so I'm not giving you a final assessment of the whole thing, but I enjoyed. It was sort of like, hey, do a thing, collect a bunch of things, and then you progress to kind of like a second half. Like, okay, then do it again, and then you get to the boss. It had me thinking, okay, yep, this is a different version of Delves. I wonder how many permutations there are of Delves. I don't want to say I'm getting bored with Delves, because that's not true. What I think hit me in doing this was I can see a world where I do get bored of Delves. And, hey, that may get back to the whole attention span thing with me. I don't do things over and over and over and over. I need the change. And so I wonder if there is a design limit. And I assume, not being a raider, not being a dungeon runner, other people probably have these thoughts and these feelings as you run Mythic Dungeons for the 1500th time or what have you. Like all of these things probably fall into the same category of, hey, how many times can you mix this up? And how many different ways can you do a thing that is supposed to be, a 10-minute, 15-minute solo adventure? Sure, you can bring your friends, but no one ever does, right? I don't know. I don't. Of course. How many different ways can you do that? How many different ways can you break up a mini dungeon area and put some mini bosses in there and do whatever it is you want to do? Like that design space, I could see that getting tired at some point. Not yet, but I could see it at some point. I enjoyed it. I had to start at level 4 because that's where we start the delves. I remember doing a delve not on my main, but on the first delve I did was on that rogue, and I got in and I thought, what? Where are all my curios? How did I lose? What is going on? I don't reload. And I forgot that all the curios reset. I was like, oh no, But I liked all the things they did. So now I'm up to, I think, 3. I have 3 curios. Yeah. Yay. At all level 1, rank 1, whatever. So I forgot that system restarted. I also forgot, and I haven't checked this yet. I heard, I don't know if this is true, and I'm not gonna go check it now. We're done with the editing bit. Undercoins. Do undercoins reset? Because I think I had a fair amount of undercoin. And somewhere I heard somebody say, oh yeah, your undercoins, they, should have spent them. And I thought, I'm sure I had a ton of undercoin. And I know I didn't spend, I literally just sit on those. I don't really do much with them. Until I have a deadline. And I guess I didn't realize I had a deadline. So I hope either that person was wrong, or I don't know. I hope I have undercoin sitting there. It seems weird that you would earn a currency and then Blizzard would take it away. And that's what kind of got me thinking. And I guess I don't want to go off on a tangent on something that may or may not be true, but boy, it would be really weird if I earned the thing and then I just didn't spend it by the right time. I feel like currencies, if you're going to have 10 million currencies like this game wants to do, at least have the things that I could spend the currency on available and change the currency. Did I lose all of my Season 2 undercoin because now there's Season 3 undercoin? I mean, I can still go back and buy Season 2 things. Why can't I buy it with Season 2 undercoin? So I hope... Yeah, I'm tempted to go check. I'm not gonna. I said I wasn't gonna, and I'm not gonna. But yeah, undercoin. Gonna have to look into that. What else about 11.2? I enjoyed the opening cinematic. One thing that made me laugh was when my character walks into in one of the little in-game cinematics. To have your character walk into one of the metal spider thingy, I don't know, Koreshi, whatever they're called. I thought that was hilarious. Literally turn and bump into it. If you haven't seen that, check that out. It's really funny. I enjoyed the quest line, the breaking it up of the 3 quest lines the first week and then the 2 the second week. I didn't mind. I thought it was a decent amount, maybe a little bit on the long side on the first week. But that said, I think there's a reason why it took too long, and I'm okay with that reason. And that is, there are so many stay a while and listens, and so many chances to click on a character and get a little bit of extra information, get a little bit of dialogue. And you don't have to do that. And if you are I gotta get through this campaign questing and get the gear and then go upgrade my gear and then go do a thing, then, this is kind of what I've been asking for. You can click through that stuff. And I gotta think, if you're only kind of passively taking in the story, that quest line's not going to take you that long. You're going to get the gist of it. Yep, okay, crashes a place. Yep, it's blown up. Yep, these guys are doing a thing, and those guys are the bad guys. Oh, no, they're the good guys. Oh, okay, got it. All right, let's go do the raid. Let's get in there. If that's your attitude heading into the campaign questing, I don't know that it would take you terribly long. But if you click every time a little bubble comes up, every time somebody's got something to say, and read it and try and take it in, I think that's going to slow you down a lot, because Blizzard did a great job. I'm really happy about this, of putting in extra dialogue, not just here and there. Almost every stop, you could get a little bit of something from somebody. You could wring a little bit more information out of at least one of the characters. And you had to do it there, or you'd miss it because the next quest, you're in a different place or a different location, and that person has something else to say. It's not the old thing. They've moved on. And so it is optional depth to the story. Perfect. Chef's kiss. Good job, Bliz. It's a little clunky mechanically in that you don't always know. So I found myself just clicking on everybody after every quest. And, you know, a lot of times you just get the standard greeting. Hello, champion. The void's coming. And so it would be nicer if it was super obvious. I've got something to say. You just finished the quest. This is optional, but I have something to say. Like, it wasn't even always the stay a while and listen. It literally was click on somebody and read a text block that reflects on the quest. And again, that conversation is not going to be the same when you fly off to go to the Ecodome and talk about things over there. It's going to change. And so I wish that were a little, I don't know, a little more obvious when you should click and when you should not. That way you're not wasting clicks. Because it quickly became apparent to me that, people have things to say. They've added a lot of extra stuff. I don't want to miss it. And I think he even missed one. And I was like, oh no, I can't go back. And there was a time I think I did. I ended up abandoning the quest so that I could go back and stay a while and listen because I knew it was going to go away. The only way to replay these things is really to hop on another character and do it again. And, to just get one, I was never going to remember what I missed. So I appreciate that depth. I appreciate the option of that depth. And I hope, I only have one perspective here, but I hope that other players appreciate that they don't have to suffer through the depth. They don't have to, it's not mandatory RP talk just to get through the campaign. I love it. I think it's great. I think it is the flexibility and the diversity of play styles that Blizzard should be embracing. And so, a big win on that. I really like Koresh, and especially somebody made the comparison to Argus. And I like that comparison because I think Koresh compares really favorably to Argus. Argus always felt slightly clunky to get around, whereas having Tazavesh as the jumping off point for the rest of these areas of Koresh that we can get to, easy. Flying right off the bat, I have to admit, I liked it. I also didn't like it. I felt funny, shouldn't we be using these flight points that we're sometimes finding? I feel bad for these flight masters. They don't really have much to do because you can just fly. And, I don't want to get into the whole debate over, should we be flying? Should we not? Do we have to earn it? Why do we have to earn it? I was flying over there. Why can't I fly over here? What? The air pressure is different. What's going on? Whatever. Convenient. It is nice. It was nice to fly. I don't know why, honestly, I don't know why you can't get to Koresh without having flying. So who's using the flight points? I mean, I guess every now and then you're like, I want to go make a sandwich and I want to go from one place to another and I don't want to fly off the edge of the map. I do that, because sometimes I do. Nope, I'll just lock myself in and fly over there. And then, I'm so far out into uncharted, whatever, fatigue zone, whatever you call it, that it'll take me 10 deaths to get back, find my body, and okay. So I guess there's that. I'll take the flight point while I make a sandwich, sure. But, boy, yeah. I mean, I do enjoy learning I like the philosophy that Blizzard has kind of offered up in the past of, hey, we worked hard on this zone. It's really cool stuff. You should walk around it or ride around it and learn it all before you fly. And I'm down with that in theory. I like that principle of, yeah, I want to interact with your world. You guys did work hard and it does look cool, and I do want to see all that stuff. And, so what's interesting, of course, in Koresh is the instant flying is balanced out by, hey, let's do phase diving, a brand new system in the game. Seems kind of cool. I like it. I can't get on my mount? Wait, what? Talk about a Goldilocks situation. What do you mean? I can fly in the grown-up world, but here, I mean, I don't know. I've heard that there's a thing that you can get to get your mount, and so you can run around. I haven't gotten that far yet. I need to, clearly, because what a weird thing. Like, before I could fly everywhere, and now I have to walk, sometimes kind of far. Luckily, there's a lot of the phase diving on-ramps, or whatever you want to call them, those little platforms. Phase diving, pretty cool. Off the top of my head, it feels like a system that is going to be on Koresh only. Just because of the nature of the story, I think it's got an interesting hook tie into the narrative. Obviously, even into the raid of, hey, no, you need to wear the wrap so you can get into the other thing so that the big bad guy over there, Dementius, isn't going to just blow you away. It's all interesting. I like that you've got a zone and essentially it's got a second floor. Like, hey, no, oh yeah, that world quest, which, by the way, the world quests, at least on my map, with whatever add-on I might be using, maybe this is a Blizzard UI thing, maybe not, but the not delving quest, not undermine quest, boy. Phase diving quest, there we go. The phase diving quests like shimmer a little bit. They have a little thing around them. At first I was like, ooh, are they showing me appearances that I don't have? That's really cool. No, that wasn't it. That would be really cool. Hey, here's a world quest of clothing you don't have. That's not it. The shimmery ones, the ones with a little bit of an outline, those are phase diving quests. And that, I think, is super handy. So if you're looking at the map, like, oh yeah, I'll go here, here, here. You'll know when you need to duck underground, if you will, into the other nether phase thing, what have you. That's really neat. I like the system. You're basically reusing that zone map, reusing this part of the world, not recreating a whole new thing, and you have sort of an extra bit. I mean, obviously, it's not like making 2 levels. It's not completely doubled, but it is a whole additional thing that, yeah, maybe I'll get tired of it, and maybe I don't want it to translate to other expansions, but I like it. And I think, maybe there would be ways to turn that system into something else in another setting, in another expansion. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. I like it. I hope they'll try and reuse that. But that idea about the comparison to Argus, I really like it because it's that blown up world. So there's obviously a comparison there. But this one feels more realistic. It feels more shattered. It feels more broken. It feels more... How many pieces do we have? I guess it's more than 3. Argus was kind of a 3-piece, 3-zone thing. And moving in between was a little bit clunky. And yeah, there was no flying in Argus, that's for sure. This one's a little bit more seamless with the flying and the flying through the... essentially space, I guess, to get from one broken area to another. And then in the distance, you can see, kind of in the skybox, essentially, the rest of the broken, shattered world. So these are the parts that are still somehow habitable, which I'm not really sure how. I think we're in space. But anyway, here I am flying my horse around to flying Anarius' charger everywhere. Who knew he was a space horse? I don't know. There you go. But it all feels believable. Like, this all feels pretty good. I'm really digging. I'm really digging Koresh and the vibe of Koresh, the look of Koresh. I think they've taken those Burning Crusade, this idea of Nether and the kind of the brokers. Obviously, the brokers came in Dragonflight, the ethereals from Burning Crusade, and really fleshed them out. They still feel derivative of that. They don't feel like some, huge leap. And yet they do feel modernized. They do feel like the style remains, but they do feel brought into the current vibe of Warcraft. And I like that. Last thing I'll mention about Koresh and about all of it is, am I the only one not really excited to be working with Xalatath? I know everyone, it seems like everyone's got this absolute obsession and flirtiness with Xalatath. I don't trust her at all. And maybe that's not what what everyone's feelings are about whether we trust her or not. That's, has nothing to do with her feet. But, she is a machine of convenience. She is, I will say and do what I need to do the thing I need to do. And now, where before she's blowing up Dalaran and Khadgar and everything, here she's like, ooh, my favorite champion.
I adore watching you work.
No, stop talking to me like that. I don't like it. Like, I'm along for the ride with... And actually, I'm along for the ride, period, with the story. Like, I find the character believable. I find the character creepy. And that's the thing. This is not a criticism of writers or story or Blizzard. This is a criticism of Xalatath. She's creepy. And I don't trust her. And that's where I was like, they got me. This is good. This is good storytelling. Because I see the attraction literally and kind of just the vibe of Xalatath and why everyone's sort of drawn to that.
Remember who you are dealing with.
But guys, she can't be trusted. She's not good. We're not on the same side. We're at the moment moving in the same direction. And so that has me super intrigued. Getting back to story hooks, that has me super intrigued of where this all goes. What is she going to be in Midnight? For speculation, once we got into this expansion, it was sort of like, ooh, Xalatath must be the big bad. Or, ooh, Xalatath's going to get through this expansion, but it's going to be the big bad in Midnight. And, oh, instantly she's on our team. And it was a creepy turnaround. I thought it was too fast. I thought it was really fast. And narratively, I thought, it could have been, I don't know, could they have eased us into this a bit more? But I guess that's literally that character, that ability to turn it on and turn it off to suit the needs. And just, it's so obvious. It's a siren, right? I mean, the sirens are not subtle. They are just absolutely entrancing and enchanting and pulling you in, and that's what Xalatath is. So if you're not enchanted, and maybe I'm not, you see it. It's blatant. You're like, what? No, why are you running the boat into the rocks? What are you doing? When you realize, I'm wearing headphones and I can't hear the sirens. Because I'm not enchanted. So I feel like I have the headphones on and I'm not necessarily taken in by her. And now here I am questing with her and working with her. And she's like Sexing me up there a little bit with her naughty talk.
Hello, my champion.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see where this goes. So, story-wise, I'm on board. I would love to, and this is not the first time I'm going to say it, last time I'm going to say this in this episode, I would love to see the raid and see how everything goes. I'm honestly thinking, kind of like I was thinking about Time Walking Dungeons. I'm thinking about doing LFR. I'm less excited, I'll tell you that. But because I'm kind of hooked on this story, I want to see the story. I do not want to wait another week for story mode to then not tell me the story. Oh boy, I hope they've improved story mode. I don't love to criticize things, but story mode is terrible and misnamed. Call it final boss fight mode with a cinematic, but I want to know. You know what I want. And you know it's going to come later when we get to the wish list for midnight. So, I haven't fallen for the master manipulator, Xalatath. I'm on board for the ride. I'm looking for where this story goes. I've got that quest to go do the raid. That's the next thing in the campaign quest, so I would rather not do it in story mode, but I may have to. I don't know. We will see. I guess next episode I'll let you know what I decide. I think that is a far too long description of what I've been getting up to lately. Oh, no. I have one last thing. And that last thing is the number 4,158. That's right. 4,158. It is a milestone number. It is a number that I've had, not literally in the back of my head, but floating out there. Again, another sort of passive goal of, yep, I'd like to get there. I'd like to get to a thing. 4,158 is 80% of 5,200. Before I lose you for math reasons, 5,200 is the maximum number of levels that you can achieve on a single account of 65 characters. So you get one, whatever, however you do it, Battle.net account. You can have 65 characters. That's the limit. If they are all level 80, then you have earned 5,200 levels. I'm never going to do that. I know that. Part of the reason is I don't need to. Part of the reason is, of course, the way Blizzard does leveling is that 1 to 70 is really too easy, as I've said in the past before. It's too easy. It's a little too easy, but it's really easy. 70 to 80, while not hard, it's just, it's enough. I've done it now 10 times. I'm not sure I want to do it another 55 times. So 5,200 is not a number I'm ever going to achieve. And of course, when we get to midnight, I assume we'll be earning 10 more levels. And then my number goes up to 5,850 total for 100%. Again, not going to do that. But this is a number I've been kind of tracking for a while of what percent of the total number of levels have I achieved. And I have hit 80% of that maximum. So I have 65 characters. The average level of those 65 characters is 64. And I noticed just the other night, I was 6 levels shy of 80%. Like it was 79.8. And I thought, how many levels is that? That's really close. And I poked around, did a little math. I was like, oh, it's 6 more levels. Who can I get 6 levels out of? And that's where I hopped into That was the other part of hopping into that Blood Elf Holy Priest. I was like, oh, I'll do the Ghostlands. And then, oh, you're doing the Heritage Armor quest. Well, that's like 13,000 a quest. And the levels at 54 are 35, 37, 38,000. Like, that's too good to pass up. I think I'm just going to start leveling. And I got her relatively quickly up to 60. And 60 meant I hit the number. I hit 4,158. 80% of all possible levels I could earn on that account. And that's pretty cool. And it's just notable. This is not a brag. It's not even a humble brag. I mean, it's just a slog. Like, it's not I'm proud. It's not, ooh, I'm, ahead of the curve, or it's, with anniversary trivia, how much anniversary trivia I've done. It's easy. All the leveling bonuses that are going on. This is not it's not something to be proud of. It's just interesting. I really do enjoy hopping into characters and playing them. I almost can't not. And so I just like, part of me is a math person. I have numbers floating around in my head. And so tracking things like that is interesting, and hitting those numbers is interesting. And I know, again, once we hit midnight in whatever, February, March, who knows? Hopefully we'll find out in a couple days when that's going to come. That's all going to change, and we will all be further behind wherever we were before. So it's a goalpost that keeps moving, and I'm not trying to conquer that. As I said, I'm never going to hit 100%. Not if I do, it probably means I lost my job. So, let's not hope for that. So I thought I'd mention that. That was a neat little milestone. I don't know how much further I'll keep pushing. Essentially, I don't think of it in a big way. I just think of it in individual characters, where I want individual characters to get to. I don't need them all at 80, but it is pretty interesting that on the whole, all of them, they have hit 64, an average level of 64. So there we go. That's what I've been up to. Holy cow. Sorry. That's a lot. It's nice to be up to a lot in World of Warcraft. That's kind of fun. All right. I was going to do news next, but again, in real life and in this pretend world, I think I need a drink to break this up. We're going to swap the order around, and we are going to head from Tazavesh to Eversong Wood. I know we started in the Ghostlands. We're going to head back to that way. It is hard to find a drink in the Elven lands.
Interestiana pint?
Choose wisely.
I think I remember in previous episode discovering that the Blood Elves, despite having plenty of reasons to drown their sorrows, have no alcoholic beverages available either in Ghostlands or Eversong Woods or Silvermoon City. I guess Burning Crusade was a dry expansion. So this time I am prepared. And I am smuggling in my favorite. For traveling, gotta have my favorite. And that, of course, is the Badlands Bourbon. It travels well, hits a spot. But where? The taverns, the inns, whatever. We are headed to Farstrider Retreat on the eastern side of the Eversong Woods zone. Farstriders, as I recall, are wound a little tightly. So we're going to sneak around a bit. First, we're going to grab a bottle of sweet nectar from Zaleen First Light, the food and drink vendor at the retreat.
Baladash Malinore.
Then we're going to walk carefully by Lieutenant Dawn Runner, who is taking her duties very seriously, despite having not handed out her low-level quest to kill 10 Amani trolls to anyone in quite some time. We're going to give her a knowing nod and maybe a little salute before ducking behind the wall. And while walking up the outdoor ramp to the second floor, we're going to surreptitiously empty that bottle of sweet nectar over the edge, hoping it doesn't splash down on some wandering Silver Moon Guardian.
Victory lies ahead.
We'll give another knowing nod to Magister Duskwither, who is on his eternal watch after recently, well, roughly 18 years ago now, after shutting down his mage school at Duskwither Spire. I believe his school is overrun with mana serpents and other elemental beasts. And walking around the corner out of his sight, we can kind of take a load off and sit down next to one of the golden archer statues, stretch the legs a bit, take in the sights and the sounds of Forest Rider Retreat, and out of prying eyes, uptight eyes, that's when we can quietly fill that nectar bottle with my favorite, the Badlands Bourbon. And just sit and kind of relax and take a moment. As we look to the north, kind of to the northwest from here, of course, Silver Moon City, our ultimate destination for today in this episode, but also kind of our destination on the horizon in game, right? We are returning to Quell Thalas. The game is returning to this part of the world. Maybe Ghostlands, maybe Eversong Woods will not be quite so empty in about 5 months or so. That would be really exciting. As I said, this is one of my favorite areas in the game, not just starting zones, but one of my favorite areas, and I come back to it every now and then, sometimes just for the music, sometimes for the wandering around the zone. As I mentioned, sometimes I just want to start a new character here and just be in this place kind of in a meaningful way, not just rolling through everything as a level 70, 60, 80, whatever. And so it's really exciting that the game is going to come back to that. But kind of like we're not in Silver Moon yet, we're not quite ready to talk about that. Before we get to the main topic, let's do some news.
You bring news?
What news from the mainland?
Have you any news?
I'm going to keep the news relatively brief because ultimately the main topic today is news. And really there's only one other huge thing out there, and that is, of course, Legion Remix. There is new info out in a preview video put out by Blizzard. Community manager Bethany Hudson talks through all of Legion Remix with two members of that Remix team. There's also a big announcement of info on the Blizzard website from last week that accompanies the video, essentially. I'm linking them in the show notes, so check that out. What did we learn? Well, the Infinite Dragonflight is conducting more research, this time into the events of the most recent invasion of Azeroth by the Burning Legion. Eternus and his flight are trying to learn exactly what it was that helped us defeat the Legion this last time. It seems that the spirit of MoP Remix will be present, but with, an adjustment of some of the game systems to capture the flavor of the Legion expansion. I think the pace and some of the loot gathering is going to be very similar, but some of the systems are going to be tailored because Legion had some very specific things going on. Instead of gems on various gear, the power-up system of Legion Remix is going to appropriately focus on all those artifact weapons. One for each of the 36 different specs available in the game at that time, back in 2016. And that does answer the big question that a lot of people had of, well, what's going to happen to evokers as far as the artifact weapon and class order hall and all that. It always seemed silly to me as much as people were debating this, it always seemed silly to me that Blizzard would come up with a whole new order hall, a whole new campaign, 3 more artifact weapons created just for evokers. When, canonically, evokers didn't even exist in our world. They were all in there, sleeping in their war creches, but they didn't exist in our world when Legion happened. So it always seemed weird. And apparently Blizzard agreed. So no order hall, no evokers allowed in Legion Remix. You cannot start an evoker character and run them through. That just seems like the right answer. No offense to evoker players, but that just seemed like kind of a no-brainer, I guess. Maybe the Infinite Dragons are not big fans of Neltharion's little cloning experiments. Regardless, players will be able to choose from the 12 classes that were available at the start of Legion. Order hall campaigns and power-ups are going to be accelerated. Each of the artifact weapons is going to have its own trait tree, kind of like a talent tree. And there's going to be different paths in there for nature, fel, arcane, storm, or holy to choose from. So different, essentially different traits, different powers that you can kind of choose from. There's a ton of new transmog appearances and mounts. I think I saw something like 50 mounts coming. Holy cow. Including fel-infused versions of each of the class mounts. So there's 12 right there. Those class mounts that you could earn in Legion going through each of the order halls, which you still can. You can still go back and do that. It's a lot of fun. The bronze currency that was kind of at the heart of Mop Remix, that will again be used to purchase all of the items that are in the, effectively in the store, all the items that are on offer. And it can be earned by participating really in any aspect of the game. That's kind of what made this so inclusive and all-encompassing, is you could do anything and you were getting bronze. And of course, similar to Mop Remix, the more challenging the activity, the bigger the bronze reward. So sure, if you go and run the raid, you're going to get more bronze than just plinking away at the normal questing or what have you. There are a couple of important systems to mention. There is going to be a challenge mode, essentially, for outdoor content. And I don't mean challenge mode in the challenge mode TM. I think there was a challenge mode thing before in WoW, so that's not the right term, but the right term for this is heroic world tier. And this is an optional challenge in which rewards and content in the outdoor world, in the regular world, gets buffed up, but it also drops bigger rewards. So, hey, more challenge, more reward. I think this is a neat idea to provide a different level of challenge, but not just in instanced content. So you want to go in and, of course there are different levels of dungeons, but the outside world's the outside world. Well, this is, and maybe this is a test run, who knows, for something in the retail world, but this is a way of saying, yep, hey, let's make that outdoor world a little harder. Also, in a nod to the birth of the Mythic Plus system, there will be time-worn Keystone dungeons available, and they will include most of the original dungeon affixes, along with 4 new affixes called Eternis's Trials. So if you are a Mythic Plus dungeon runner, stay tuned for that revamp of the system, kind of revisiting some of the old stuff along with some of the new. So that seems pretty exciting. Players are going to be presented with a daily offering of meta quests in a system called Infinite Research. And this is actually not terribly new. We're all kind of familiar with this. This is patterned on the current system of weekly quests, weekly meta quests that we see in retail. You log in Tuesday, you have your choice of, 4 optional things, and each one of them is going to get you to the same thing. Well, this is similar, except it's sped up. Each day, you're going to have a choice of 4 quests, and each of them is going to offer you, for completing the quest, a cache of infinite power. Don't ask me what's in infinite power. I couldn't tell you. It would take too long. It's infinite. But what is nice, even at that sped up once every day thing, I did see a hint in the description that you're going to be able to earn the ability to do more than one per day. So I'm not sure how, but look for that when that system rolls. The Legion storyline is going to roll out in 5 different phases. And I know the whole thing is scheduled for about 15 weeks. I don't know if these are equal, 3 weeks each. That, my brain goes to that, but I'm not sure if that's true. These phases are similar to how classic expansions have been rolling out lately, how they've been kind of coming out in phases. The first 4 phases are Skies of Fire, Rise of the Nightfallen, Legion Fall, and Argus Eternal. And they, of course, follow the major patches of Legion, the major story beats of the Legion expansion. The 5th phase, Infinite Echoes, is a bit of a mystery. I'm not sure. The description says, quote, as the Legion Remix timeline begins collapsing, say your goodbyes and embrace the chaos. Okay, that could be a lot of things. The thing that came to my mind was, not that I've ever experienced this, I've just heard people talk about it, but at the end of an expansion PTR, when the devs just kind of launch all of the world bosses at once and all of the raid bosses at once and just go to sack a city. That's kind of what popped into my head. Oh, okay, maybe everybody is going to come out and play all at once. That would be interesting. Kind of the bookend to the Legion invasions that started Legion. That is most of the description, and most of the big systems. All the dungeons will be there, all the raids will be there. And when I was going through the post, I almost missed the most important line, at least from me. Let me read word for word. We're also adding 5 new character slots to all World of Warcraft accounts so you can make even more characters. I think they were just talking to me. This is so exciting. I didn't even realize this was coming. I hadn't heard this until I did this research a little while ago. So the math I mentioned before, well, that total level number is going to rise to 5,600. And I will be knocked back under 80% again. And actually, as an addendum, it is at this moment that I'm realizing that my math was a little off. 4,158 is not actually 80%. It is actually it rounds to 80%. I was letting my spreadsheet do the number. Of course, the full 80% of 5,000, was it 5,200? That is 4,160. I was 2 levels off. So I'm still 2 levels away from 80%. Ugh. I will take the embarrassment of the math correction as the cost to receiving 5 more character slots. That seems like a decent trade. And I will guarantee you that embarrassment is way better than editing and re-recording that earlier segment. So I'll take it. And I'll go out and, I promise, get those 2 levels as soon as I get this podcast up into the air for you. So, Legion Remix. All of it goes live with the arrival of patch 11.2.5. That is slated for October 7th. The goal is 15 weeks, running till January 19th, 2026. Hang on to that date for just a moment as we approach the gates of Silver Moon City. What else is in the news? Does anything else really matter? I mean, really, 11.2 is in the game. Story mode launches on Reset along with LFR Wing 2 tomorrow. Wing 3, if you're doing LFR, comes the following week, August 26th in my part of the world. And as of this moment, of course, Race to World First is ongoing. Someone is 5 of 8, I think. How's that for in-depth Race to World First coverage? Anything else? Anything else in the news? Let's see. Anything. There's something tomorrow in Cologne, Germany. I forget what it is. Some calm thing. Yeah. It is essentially peak hype time in World of Warcraft, right? Tomorrow, if you get to this today, obviously Tuesday, August 19th, is the 11th expansion of World of Warcraft getting announced officially. The middle chapter of the War Within trilogy. Midnight. Midnight is coming. In every single way, Midnight is coming. And Midnight is our main topic.
Let's get down to business.
Tuesday, August 19th, Blizzard will announce the Midnight expansion 12.0, the 11th expansion of the World of Warcraft. I think my time is 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and you do the rest of the math from there. We're a third of the way in to the War Within already. Like, essentially, this is the next chapter coming. This is the one that Chris Metzen promised that we will lose. Mysteriously, you know, hey, things go bad in the second in the second chapter. The Empire Strikes Back was really hard and dark. Well, Midnight seems to follow some sort of a pattern there. What will we lose? Of course, we don't know. We will probably start getting hints of that, both with the book that comes out in the fall, but maybe some information tomorrow is going to send us in some directions. So exciting. What are we going to expect? Well, you know, you can do a lot of stuff when you're there, but if you're actually going to Gamescom, I assume you are not waiting for me to tell you what you can do. So for the rest of us, what are we likely to learn over the announcement and the following days at Gamescom in the numerous panels and interviews and what have you? Well, we're going to get a launch date, of course, and seems like January, maybe February of 2026. It's coming. The pre-orders, which were kind of leaked out / accidentally made their way onto the launcher recently. A lot of details, of course, unconfirmed about all that stuff, but all of that is likely to be announced as well. You know, I'm not going to tell you what all the things are. I just know that Epic Edition is out there calling my name again. And according to that leaked information, it was, again, $90. Luckily, that's, you know, that's a lot of money, but it's doable. Especially when you think, hey, you got another 30 days of game time in there. So I'm excited about that. Saving my pennies. I know it comes with some early access to housing. I think all of it has early access to housing. There's some beta. I forget. We'll find out. We're going to see housing. We're going to see that next round of announcement. There's going to be more creators playing with the fleshed out version of housing. So that will be, you know, more in depth than what we were privy to in Boston at PAX East. Developer panels, of course, are going to describe the story and the systems and the questing and the raids and the dungeons and the delves and all the things that are coming from Midnight. There'll be an interview by wonderfully good friend of the show, Taliesin, and Avatel. Wonderfully good friend because we talked for about 3 minutes at Boston. I met him. So there you go. He's a great friend of the show. Tally, if you're listening, thank you. They are going to be interviewing Associate Design Director Maria Hamilton, who is also at Boston, and Art Director Eli Cannon, discussing Midnight's world building live on stage. And there's a couple other interviews as well over the few days of Gamescom. With the new expansion, of course, comes a new crop of features and iterations and innovations. And I know that one day before the announcement is not a lot of time for Blizzard to incorporate my unasked for ideas, but I want to offer up my wish list to Blizzard for the Midnight expansion. Even if these ideas are not mentioned tomorrow in the announcement, there is still time to take these 10 ideas back to the team free of charge, and they can get coding. No commission or royalties needed, although, if that epic edition accidentally shipped to my house, neither of us would be hurt, right? I know lots of content creators like to serve up their expansion predictions, but I'm actually pretty bad at that, so I'm not even going to pretend. So instead, here is my midnight wish list. My 10 items on my wish list. Let's just take all the mystery out of number 1 and the drama, and you know what it's going to be. If you have listened to this show, you can probably say it with me. #follower raids. Come on. I don't even want to talk about it beyond just saying it is time to announce follower raids are coming in the same vein as follower dungeons. Won't that be wonderful? Okay, let's just move on. That one's easy. Number 2, solo, scaled, challenging legacy content. What do I mean by that? It's stuff that we've talked about in the past. It could be offering up old delves, which is kind of creeping into number 3. So I'm not going to say that. Forget I said that. Nothing, blah, blah, blah. No, the bigger idea here is not rolling through legacy raids, legacy dungeons, where, the mobs have 1,000 health and your character, who's either max level or even, 60, level 70, whatever, is doing like 2 million damage. Making it almost kind of like the delves in that it's scaled to one person. It is a challenge, but not a joke. Challenge, but not impossible, but also not a joke. Like adding essentially a realistic level of farming, like make farm level an actual level. Not just, everything's gray and 30 and I'm 80, I rule. I don't know how many people want that. I want that. I don't know how many other people want that. Number 3, continuing to offer delves. And, I think in Midnight we're going to continue to see delves. I do hope that they keep innovating the system. They keep making stuff like the overcharged delves. They keep doing little things like making the overcharged delves more noticeable on the map. I would love, and people have talked about this since the beginning, adding legacy delves, going back to old zones, going back to maybe not necessarily instances. I don't want them to replace dungeons, but as you flesh out the old world or as old zones get updated, for instance, Eversong Woods, if that gets a nice fancy remake, an update, why not toss in a delve or 2? Wouldn't that be cool? Number 4, more lore walking. We have the first 3 chapters, the first 3 episodes, the first 3 instances, I don't know, what do you want to call them, quest chains of lore walking out recently. Keep doing it. I think I think keep doing it moving forward in a way that addresses both current story, backstory. So, hey, here's what's going on and here's the related stuff, but also unconnected old lore. Big moments, whatever. As far as we know at this moment, the Arthas quest line, lore walking quest line, is unconnected to what is coming. Not completely, everything's connected, but it's not something we needed to know to move forward in 12.0. At least it's not clear to us now. There's a lot of cool stories in the game that are not connected to where we're going or even where we've recently been. But it would be cool and more important as the game gets older to be able to revisit those. And lore walking is a great way to do that. So I hope there's more lore walking. It struck me, and honestly, because I recorded some of this yesterday, I don't remember if I said this, so I apologize if this is a repeated thing, but the Order Hall campaigns are kind of like lore walking. I mean, obviously, if they're time gated, it's a little bit differently, but going through, I can imagine going through Legion Remix, and you go through the Order Hall questing, it's going to feel a little bit like lore walking in that it's condensed, it's kind of one story, and so I think modeling that, there's some similarities there, I guess is sort of the point. But lore walking, it feels good. It feels, if the rewards are, I think, moderate at best, this should not be like required, if you're going to heroic raid, you need to be doing it. No, I think it should be, you want to opt into lore walking, but you want to make it attractive enough and interesting enough, quality high enough that people want to do it. I think it's great. Hopefully more resources in that. Number 5, libraries in player housing with essentially a collections tab for books. So we have one for mounts, we have one for pets, we have one for appearances. Give us one for books. And we should be able to shelve those books in libraries, in player housing. Right, Allie? That is our battle cry. You can close down our libraries in real life, but not in Azeroth. Open them up there. That's what we want. Number 6. We want Sethrak as a playable race, right? We want snake people out there in the world.
Are you here to help?
No, Snake of Vol'dun did not pay. This is not advertising. He did not pay for this spot. He has convinced me. I am a believer. Darn it. There are a lot of playable races. There are a lot of... ultimately, I think the wish is that we find a logical, meaningful way to add some more races. Why not? More diversity, more interesting play, more angles, more story, what have you. So I'm not going to argue which ones should be up and which ones not, and why this and why not that. But why not Sethrak? Why not? Number 7, kind of related to characters. The next couple are related to characters. I would love last names for characters. I wonder if there's some tech reason that originally, nope, one name only. And boy, don't I wonder if modern technology could handle a space and decide that a space is 2 different names. It would be great to have surnames and family names or whatever they all are. Give us the ability to have last names. As much as I love investigating all the different accents and crazy symbols that I can cram into a name to differentiate it from somebody else already getting that name, I think last names would just add more flavor and more depth. And, people are RPing it anyway. Why not? Let's do that. Number 8. And number 8, I found out in the course of this episode, I kind of already got. Because number 8 is an increased character limit. Oh, yeah. Yes. I'm literally excited. I'm actually not even kidding. Just those 5 character slots, I'm already like, oh man, okay. When does 11.2.5 come? This is very exciting. So in my notes, in my list, I said, let's just go to 80. Let's just go to 80 in case y'all start adding new races or new druids of existing races, both of which I will need to do. So if those Sethrak come, and if they, Sethrak druids, would they turn into people? That would be amazing. I can't remember if we talked about that in the interview so long ago with Snake of Vol'dun, but that would be amazing. Sethrak druids. Oh, that might, once I get follower raids out of tomorrow's announcement, maybe that's my next hashtag. Hashtag Sethrak druids. Number 9. I think this one's interesting, and some of these are slightly tongue-in-cheek, and not really, because all of them I think would be amazing if you did all of them. Do I think they're all going to happen? Yes, I do. I expect that. But number 9, I think this would be interesting. Change the mount time, the time it takes when you press your button, change the ground mount time to like a half second, while flying stays 1.5. There is so little reason to get on a ground mount, even for a short little distance. And for RP reasons, I hate I have to go 30 yards over there. Doing the sort of mental calculation of, okay, it's going to take me a second and a half to mount, and if I just run, which one's longer? I'm sure I could actually do some math and give you a distance based on your run speed of when you need to mount and when you don't. But when you mount, you're always just going to hop on a flying mount, right? So there's no benefit to getting on a ground mount. So I think give a benefit. Let ground mounting either be instantaneous or just a minimal amount of time. I mean, as a druid, I love playing druid, so I love the instant mount. So I don't want that to necessarily go away or be watered down. But if you made ground mounting either no time or very minimal time, while flying stays in that second and a half, then there's some benefit to it. And I think that would be interesting. It would just spread out the things that people would use for mounts. And why not? Why not? Like all the things I keep talking about, I think if you can add things without taking away from others, I think it's a good thing. And I think this is an added benefit for people who want to hop on a ground mount, use some of the things that, hey, there's so many mounts in the game. You can only be on one at a time. My goodness. So, yeah, that's why I think that would work. And number 10. I would love a solo mode of the game where I can shut off the visuals of all other players. So it's not my own instance. It's not my own server, my own shard. I'm not, the one person on a server. I'm not saying it has to go that far. I don't know how this works. I don't know the technology. I don't know any of this. I would just love it if I could turn the visuals of people off. And maybe not even in cities. Maybe not when I'm running around Dornegal. Because admittedly, if I'm in a city, it's, standing in Silvermoon City, it's a little empty right now. Not gonna lie. So having the visuals of people in Dornegal running around or Tazavesh, that's great. But maybe once you get outside of that city zone, if you could click on solo mode where the players still exist, people are still doing their quests and, putting their Brutosaurs over quest givers and over mailboxes for some reason, and whatever, all of that stuff is still true. You just can't see it. That would just raise the immersion level dramatically. Now, are there problems? Certainly. And I didn't bother to think about a lot of them because it's not my job. But, you're mining, you go to mine a node and it just disappears. I mean, that already happens. You didn't, they stick around for a little bit. So is that really a big deal? Oh, crap, I lost that mining node. Who did that? I can't see them. That doesn't matter. You couldn't see them before. I imagine there are other problems that are bigger. Interactions. Why is this quest giver not here? Why are they walking away from me? Like, if you saw, I don't know. Again, do I know as a WoW player that sometimes quest givers they're not necessarily, I don't know what the word would be, instance charted, personalized, whatever. I'm thinking back to, this gets back to running all these mount collections. When you run Old War, there's a couple quests in there that you get for just running it. And then you go back into Dalaran, you're like, okay, turn this into, what's his name? Is it Ronan? I think it's Ronan. Maybe? Now I'm totally not remembering. But turn it into him. Oh my God. everyone's running Old War. You can't get that guy. You literally have to kind of wait in line because every time you turn that quest in, he does the slowest walk across the city over to the statue and makes his great announcement. And I never, I've heard that in passing in Northrend Dalaran, 500 times, never really thought much about it. So yeah, that happens every time somebody turns in those Old War quests. Well, if everybody in the world is running Old War because it's the Mount Collection month, holy cow, you're literally standing there like, oh, hey, I was here before him. Can I, come on, let me turn these stupid quests in. Because I just wanted to clear my quest log. And literally like 8 people standing around, 3 of them are AFK. At one point I'm like, oh, all right. That guy's next, and then it's me, and then good. And then, it takes a couple minutes, maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes for him to go, walk over, do the thing, and then appear back ready to, get another quest turned in. And the guy who I know was there before me had gone AFK. I'm like, I don't want to be a jerk. Maybe he's just sitting at his computer. He's and then somebody else literally walked in and was like, hey, oh no, while I was having this moral debate. Well, by the time he got back, that guy was still AFK. And so I went next. But so long story, which should be the name of this episode, I suppose, to say, yeah, there's going to be some weird things that could happen, but why not? Why not just literally have a thing that says, yep, turn off players, can't see them, still there, still interacting, they're still causing traffic on your computer and slowing down, and none of that ceases to be true. You just have turned them off. I think that would be interesting. Again, that would be an immersion thing. Other people could see you. It's not that you disappear. I'm not trying to stealth you. And obviously, you're not going to do this in war mode. That would probably be weird. I don't care about the tech. I'm the brainstormer. I get to put these ideas into the world. That's why I'm not charging, free of charge. That said, you're not supposed to ignore them. You're supposed to take these 10 and put them in, into place. If not for 12.0, I'd accept 12.1 or 12.2. That would be fine. Some of these are going to be some work. I understand. But wouldn't that be neat? Wouldn't that be neat to be able to just kind of be in the world, questing? You're the lone hero in the story. The story is written in a way that it rarely acknowledges that there are more heroes. It does a bit, and obviously it does in instances. Hey, 40 heroes, 20 heroes, whatever, 5 heroes in my dungeon. Yes, you are a team then. But when you're out questing, you're not questing in a gang, not usually, and the story's not written that way. It's champion, not champions. So I just think that would go a long way for immersion. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. My midnight wish list, free of charge. Make it happen. That was our main topic for this episode. On to the mailbag. And I do have mailbaggy things to share with you. So, this is going to be kind of one positive, one negative, and one request. That's how this segment's going to be organized. They say that when you get into any public role, including something like content creation, you need to have a thick skin. And I don't have a thick skin. And, hey, I'm more than 50 years in, so it is unlikely that I am going to develop a thick skin. And that's fine. I'm at peace with that. That said, I think I've done pretty well. I'm happy to get feedback and criticism that, might be helpful, might even be true. I can't remember. I think I read the comment on the show a while back. Maybe not. And it was essentially, it was somebody who commented, I think it was in Apple Podcast, maybe it was in Spotify, I don't remember. He said essentially like, hey, I like the show, but oof, those intros are long, man. Like, just too long. And not gonna lie, I love my intro ideas. I love some of these intros, and I think most of them have been executed pretty well. That said, I see some truth in there. Like, yep, some of them probably went on a little long, and some of that is, hey, editing takes time. I remember, this will make sense in a moment, but I remember I just listened to episode 10 with Jin, and we were talking about being concise, and Jin said something to the effect of, hey, if you wanted a short email, I needed more time. It takes more time to write a short email. And that kind of comes into play in some of the stuff that I create for the show. Could I refine it? Yeah. Do I have the time? No. So sometimes, including right now, I'm probably going on a little longer than I need to. But like I said, I think I've done a decent job of having a thickish skin. I did not bemoan the 2-star rating that somebody left on Apple Podcasts. And this is a long time ago. It's more than a year ago. And, mathematically, that 2-star rating really drags down the 15 5-star ratings. Mathematically, I think it's a 4.8. And I'm like, oh, man, really? Come on. But hey, that's okay. So it goes. So recently, because Apple was sort of hiding comments, I didn't notice it. Every now and then I'll check Apple Podcasts to see if I have a new comment, which I'd love to read on the air. But I hadn't seen one because the last one was from March. But I happened to scroll through, and then all of a sudden, wait, there's a newer one from July 11th. But then it goes back to an older one, like they're not in order. So I apologize for missing this and not seeing this sooner. I got a 1-star review and a comment from Apple Podcasts listener JJF1978, to which I assume is your birth year, maybe, who knows, on July 11th. And here is the review so 1-star rating and the review that went with it. I liked the podcast until episode 10, where he says he is glad developers inject their woke agenda into the game. What? So, again, thick skin, got it, trying. I had some problems with this. Episode 10, and this took me some research because I don't remember all my episodes, my God. Episode 10 is the interview episode with Jin from Live, Laugh, Lore, as I just mentioned, which is why I know what Jin had to say about being concise. And, I could have just thrown Jin under the woke bus and claimed there was something he said, but I was like, what are you even referring to? So I went back and listened to the entire episode. And, I tried to listen like a closed-minded person might. Someone who, doesn't like any diversity and is not happy if all people are treated equally and therefore also hates the U.S. Constitution. I tried to listen like that. Sorry to all of you who are listening from outside the United States. If this doesn't make sense, I mean, it seems like there's a lot that is coming from our country right now that may not make sense. So, apologies for all of it. Anyway, I listened to the entire episode for this injection of wokeness moment. And I didn't hear it anywhere. Like, not from Jin, which I could pawn it off on him because he's, pretty liberal guy. Not from me because, I'm a pretty liberal guy. If by liberal we're talking people deserve equal rights and equal opportunities and, whatever. I'm not going to go off on a rant about wokeness, but do I now have to go listen to episode 9 because JJF 1978, you are counting the 3-minute trailer episode, and that would make it episode 10 despite me putting episode 9 in the title? Do I have to go listen to that one too? So I think I have to borrow a segment idea from Berserker and Unshackled Fury and have a little mini rage segment here. I'm going to speak just to JJF 1978 for a moment. I don't want to be angry at you. I don't want to be a negative person on this show. But why are you trying to damage what I'm doing in the World of Warcraft space? And I suppose your response would be to ask why I am injecting a woke agenda into the game that he, and it is a he, right? We can all agree. This is a he. Why am I, the game that he wants to sit down and enjoy at the end of a long day of work, perhaps, a workplace that has too many types of people that he doesn't like. Why should he then have to put up with such cries for diversity in Azeroth as well? I just don't understand. This world is angry enough and crazy enough. You could just not listen. Like literally 0 people are making you listen to this podcast. Or I suppose if you really, you could leave a message on the KKK message board to steer other people of like minds away from solo queue where, we like all kinds of people. But do you have to go out of your way to try and hurt the show for supposedly speaking out against what the rest of us call racism? Just saying. JJF 1978, if that's your real name, I really hope you're listening right now. Send me an email at soloqwow@gmail.com. Give me the rest of your story and make it a lot easier for me to decide whether I should invest being angry at you or not. Maybe you're having a bad day. Tell me where we were woke. I mean, I'm not going to deny what you think is woke because I think people deserve equality. I think people deserve rights. I think so many things, and I don't really know what the problem with that is. But, wow, I don't intend to bring the real world. In fact, I said it earlier in the episode. This is a nice way to get away from the real world. So, thanks for re-injecting, talking about injecting wokeness, injecting real world stuff into this. I don't know. I'm going to have to listen to episode 9 because it's bugging the crap out of me. Not going to lie. Thick skin or not. I'm partly curious too. Yeah. If the WoW content that I'm giving you sucks, tell me. If it's boring, if I talk too much, tell me. Well, I already know some of that, but tell me anyway. Let me know. I'm happy to respond to that. Otherwise, come on. That one rating, it hurt. Not literally me. It hurt the game that we all play in the content creation world. It hurt the algorithm game and whatever, and for no good reason. So, all right, let's move on to the positive. There's a new supporter this month. Isaac, thanks for hopping in and supporting the show as a contributing member. And as Isaac popped into Patreon at patreon.com/soloqwow, he left a message essentially saying, hey, he would love to hop into a player housing neighborhood of solo players. That sounds awesome. So my idea is not such a bad one because now there might be 2 of us living in the old solo crew refuge. I think that's a good name. Yeah, it doesn't have to be by guild. It can be by charter, which is essentially I just want to start up a group. I don't know. As we get more information about housing, we'll talk about that and see if that seems like a neat thing to do. Maybe we'll try it together or alone, or alone together, or whatever we want to call it. All right, that's the positive. Thanks, Isaac, for hopping in. The action. I said there's going to be an action, a request I want you to do. I'm really grumpy about that rating, and I know I shouldn't be, but the reason I'm grumpy is not because I have thin skin. It's actually because I want this podcast to continue to grow. I want it to be constructive and positive and interesting and fun. And, sometimes I'm going to say things you don't agree with. Hopefully they're about player housing or whether Raid should do this or that, or your solo mode idea is stupid. That's fine. I can handle all that. I don't need to debate human rights and politics and the stupidity of opposing those things. I mean, if you want to do that, we can do that. Maybe you should go find my blog, my much ignored blog, but JJF 1978 is not going to like some of the stuff I've written on my blog, which has nothing to do with WoW, by the way. But if you're interested, maybe I'll pump that out at some point. Anyway, my point is this. If you are able, if you have a moment, if you are kind enough to want to do this, can you hop into your podcast app, especially if it's Apple, but any of them, and drop in a rating that you think is appropriate? It may not be 5 stars, but I'm going to guess if you're listening at this point, it's not going to be 1. And I mean, again, that's the game that content creation is. It's algorithms, it's all this stupid stuff. And ultimately, I'm not here making money. I have a job. I do okay. I'm going to spend $90 on the Epic Edition. My wife's not going to love it, but I'm going to do it and it'll be okay. And I'm going to survive. This is not about money. It's really about spreading. So spread the word. And one of the ways you can do that is to leave a higher than 1-star rating in your podcast feed player, whatever of choice. And hey, if you want to take a moment to write a little something, I would love that as well. And I will read it here along with, the anti-woke guy. I try not to put the explicit tag on my podcast just to make it more, accessible to people and more diverse. Hopefully that's okay. Try not to swear too much. Maybe it's the teacher in me. But anyway, all right. As always, I will read all the comments and reviews that I can find. And again, if you are in the foreign lands that are not the U.S., especially on Apple, I can't really see your comments. So throw them in an email, and I would love to read them. Yeah, it definitely looks like our time in the queue is up. I have rambled at you for long enough. I need to get into my character spreadsheet and make 5 more slots. Yes, this is amazing. All the music that you hear is the work of the amazing people at Blizzard, and we get to celebrate them at Gamescom in the coming days. So what that means, #Don'tPlayMuted. Come on. The music taking us out is the song Ogre by my friends in the doom metal band Ogre. Woo! Check them out. I want to thank everyone who made this podcast possible. My lovely and supportive wife, who was upstairs waiting for me to come up, do some dinner, hang out, and edit the crap out of this thing and get it to you. The good folks at Podbean, who host Solo Q. Thank you to contributing members, contributing Patreon supporters, Andrew, Righteous Bandy, That Sky Guy, Sin, Snick of Oldoon, John, Scott, and the newest member of the Solo crew. Welcome to Isaac. Thank you all for your support at patreon.com. That money goes into hosting the show, goes into some other costs, just a couple storage archiving questions that I'm going to have to answer soon. Those things cost a little money. So that support is a huge help. Also thanks to free members Max, Eddie, Bear, Friends of Wumpus, Sean, Kuro, Aranar, Aiden Nakran, Guardian Sandy, Alice, and Dawn. Thank you for your support as well. Really, those things mean a lot to me, so I know you're out there listening, and I hope you're enjoying. Subscribe wherever, Apple, Spotify, whatever, and we talked about ratings already. If you can leave a rating in there, and we can bump that, kind of smooth that one out a bit mathematically, I really would. I would appreciate that. And if you'd like your comment right on the show, just like JJF 1978. Drop in a review as well. All right. Solo Q, WoW, Gmail, Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, possibly Threads. Hey, enjoy the midnight announcement. Keep, get your scorecard ready. Keep a tally of how many of my wish list items get mentioned and taken in. And we'll talk about all of it the next time we hop into the solo queue. I will see you out there. So we've got Edwind Windsmith, Sophietta Linflame, and everyone's home.